Good morning and welcome to Motivational Monday. I am so glad that you have decided to join us once again. And I am also excited about the word that God has given me again to share with you. And I know I say that every Monday morning, but I am just excited about the word. Our Motivational Monday for this week is quiet time. Yes, quiet time. We're going to be talking about carving out some quiet time to spend with the Master. Our scripture this morning is coming from Matthew 14:23. And before we talk about the scripture for this morning, I want to talk about the verses leading up to Matthew 14:23. This is the time that Jesus was with the disciples, and there was a multitude of 5,000 men, not counting women and children. And so the multitude was very hungry, and there was a little boy in the crowd that had 2 fish and 5 loaves. And most of us know this story. Jesus took the 2 fish and 5 loaves, and he fed the multitude. And everybody had enough to eat. Matter of fact, they had some left over. So at the end of feeding everybody, Jesus told his disciples, matter of fact, he put them in a boat and sent them to the other side. But Jesus decided to do something different. And I want you to listen to Matthew 14:23. And remember, we're talking about quiet time. So Matthew chapter 14, verse 23, and I want to read it to you this morning. It says, "And when he had sent the multitude away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone." And so you talk about quiet time. And so we see the great example of that. Jesus had to leave the multitude. He had to send his disciples to the other side in order to have some quiet time with the Father. And so this morning, I want to encourage you to spend some quiet and quality time with the Master. And I know that's very hard for most of us because we take care of our families. We have full-time jobs. We are engaged in our church activities. We are engaged in community activities. And there are so many distractions that we have to deal with on a daily basis. But this morning, I want to encourage you. I really want to encourage you to spend some quiet and quality time with the Master. Do you know we spend a lot of time getting ready for events? We get our hair done. We find our clothes. We lay them out. We spend a lot of time getting ready to do other things. But this morning, I want to encourage you to carve some time out to spend with the Master, because that's important. Now, I want to talk about you finding some space in your house. The good thing about this is that you don't have to spend any money. You don't have to go out and buy anything to do this. So I want to encourage you, first of all, to find some space in your house. Now, this morning, if you notice that I am in a different room than I am normally in, I am actually in my prayer room. This is where I have my morning devotion every morning between 4 and 5. Sometimes, most of the time, it's 5 a.m. Sometimes it's 4 a.m. But this is the room that I spend my quality time with the Master. So this morning, I want to encourage you to find a special place in your house and start carving that place out to be a quiet space where you can spend some quality time with the Master. And so the first thing I need for you to do when you find that space, then I need for you to leave some things outside of the room. And the first one is going to be extremely hard for a lot of us because we walk around with this device everywhere we go. I need you to leave your cell phones in the other room, because just as sure as you get ready to have your morning devotion, that phone is going to ring. So I need for you to leave it out in a different area in the house. Everybody that normally calls you in the morning will be okay until you get done with your devotion. Then I need for you to leave the spouse in a different room. I know you're in love and I know you want to be up under him or her all the time, But I need for you to just leave your spouse in the other room. I need you to leave your children in the other room. Matter of fact, tell spouse, see about the children for an hour while I go spend some quality time with the master, and see what happens. And then I know you hanging out with your girlfriends, and you love to hang out with your girlfriends, but just for an hour, I need for you to tell your girlfriends, I'm getting ready for my quality and quiet time with the master. I'll call you later. Because what happens is when you are doing your quiet and quality time, distractions cannot get in the way. And so you got to leave some of these things in a different room. And we talk about distractions. There are a lot of things that distract us from doing this. But again, I want to remind you that we take time to get ourselves ready and prepared for everything else. So I want to encourage you today to get yourself ready and prepared to spend some quiet and quality time with the master. And for me, again, I get up at 4 and 5 because around 6:30, my phone is about to ring, maybe 7. One of my sisters, especially Pam, she's going to be calling me. And so I have to get up early in order to get my morning devotion in, because guess what? When I have my morning devotion, my days go a little bit better. Those days that I get up rushing and I might miss morning devotion, it's the worst day ever. And so I want to encourage you to get up and have your morning devotion before you get started. And I know that's hard for a lot of us. And you might say, well, Fonda, you don't have any kids of your own. But let me tell you something. It's called sacrifice. It's called making a sacrifice. And you know what? We make sacrifices for everything else. I'm asking you to make a sacrifice. And even if you start out slow, you don't have to do a whole hour. So if you get up, if you're going to do it in the mornings, you try to get up before everybody else get moving in the house. And mornings is not the only time that you can do devotion. It's just the best time for me. And so that's the other part that I need to talk about, is that the morning may not be your best time. Maybe once you get home, feed everybody, get settled, do your ripping and running around, and you've taken care of the husband and you've taken care of the children. Once you get everybody else down to bed, maybe that's a good time for you to do devotion. My goal here for this Monday is to just get you to start spending some quiet and quality time with the master. And then and then I want to talk about some ways of how you can spend that time with the master. So we've talked about the space. Get your room ready, get your space ready, and get prepared to do your morning and evening devotions. Now I want to talk about how to do devotion. A lot of people are unsure about, what do you do when you're in your morning devotion? What do you say and talk about? Well, the good thing about morning devotion is that, and there is no certain way to talk to the master. Just as if I am talking to you right now is a good way for you to talk to the master. Just have conversation with him. Tell him what's on your heart. Tell him what's on your mind. And one thing about the God we serve is that you can talk to him about everything. And you can talk to him in private about everything. People think that we have to be at the church house in order to be at an altar, but you can talk to the master anywhere. And so it's a good time to just sit and just have conversation with him. Sometimes I sit in this same chair and I just sit back and I just talk to him as if he's sitting directly in front of me. And so just have conversation with him. Pour out your heart to him. Tell him how you're feeling. Tell him your thoughts. And then you got to be still in order to hear back from him. A lot of us want to just run in and do what we're going to do and run out. But let me encourage you, once you've talked with him and laid it on the altar and laid your heart out, to be quiet. Be quiet so you can hear from him. You want to hear the voice of God giving you your answer and telling you what to do. And then you can simply just read the word. I have a book that I use every morning, and there's a morning devotion in there. So what I do is I read the word every morning, and that gives me my word for the day. And what I normally do is, once I've read the scripture and the passage that goes with it and the motivation that goes with it, I kind of meditate on that all day throughout the day. And so it helps me kind of stay focused on certain things, and as long as I can go back and meditate on that word that I read that morning, it helps me. It really, really helps me get through my day. And so find you a passage in the Bible, a chapter that you want to just kind of focus on for maybe the week or the month, or find you a daily devotional book. You could get them at Walmart. You can get them at Books A Million. And so find you a daily devotion book and use that as your morning devotion. And then you can listen to worship music. Now, what I normally do is I come in and I do a prayer, and then I read the word, I meditate, I talk to the master. Some things I understand, some things I don't understand. And then I have my worship music. And I always do a praise song first because I want to thank him for the day. I listen to songs like Every Praise. I got to put a praise on it. And so in spite of what I'm dealing with, in spite of what I'm going through, the first thing I want to do in the mornings is give God some praise, because even just the fact that he woke us up is enough to give him praise. Excuse me. Just the fact that he woke us up is enough to give him some praise. And so our worship music, we can get our praise on. And then after I do my praise song, I do a worship song. And that gives me an opportunity to kind of calm down and start meditating, listening to the words of the song and preparing my mind for my prayer. And then I'm ready to talk to him on my knees. And I can pour out my heart to him. I can tell him all about it. I can tell him what I can't tell everybody else. It's that time. And so I get myself ready and prepared to have prayer. And then, and so this morning, I just really want to encourage you to find some quiet and quality time with the Master. You will be amazed at your day if you just spend some time talking to him. But a lot of us want Facebook to be the first thing that we do, Twitter to be the first thing that we do, the cell phone to be the first thing that we do. And so this morning, I want to really encourage you to just lay those things aside for just a few minutes and take an opportunity to talk to your master and to hear from your master. And I can almost guarantee you that your days will go so much better, so much better. And so I hope that this Monday motivation has been a blessing to somebody. I just want to encourage you and motivate you to spend that quality time with him. The same way we hang out with our friends, the same way we hang out with our spouse, the same way we hang out with our children, we can hang out with God. Isn't that awesome to know that we can hang out with God? I love it. And guess what? We don't have to put on airs. We don't have to act a certain way. We don't have to do a certain thing. He just wants us to hang out with him just as we are. And that's what I love about him. And he's not, even when you share some negative things with him, guess what? He doesn't judge us like everybody else. So I want to encourage you this morning, spend that quality time with your master. You'll make a great week. This is our Motivational Monday, quiet and quality time with the master. Again, I appreciate you joining us. I'm tongue-tied today. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you next Monday. Have a great and blessed week on purpose.